Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Today, we're going to talk about 虚怀若谷. 虚怀若谷 is Chinese way to say, well, empty hold. Like hold as if you have a lot of emptiness in you, like a valley. And valley is the low ground in a mountainous region that's gathering of all the waters, right? Water is going to flow into that. And so we thinking ourselves as a vessel, as a valley, like even more expensive than a small container. It's a big container in nature. And we position ourselves in that low ground so that we feel we have a lot of space in ourselves to fill with knowledge, wisdom. So that's how Chinese describe to remind ourselves to be humble. In America, I mean, in English at least, we have this half empty bottle, right? You look at the solid part or the empty part. That's two perspectives because each of us are in a spectrum of filled somewhat, but still a lot of empty space. So in Chinese, culturally, we orient toward the empty part. So we view ourselves as we have a lot of space to fill, as if we're the valley in the mountain. Okay, emptiness. Emptiness, we came across a few episodes. Like last month, I talked about this word just by itself, and because it's culturally significant, and here's the evidence of its significance. We wanted to view ourselves as empty, right? The top part is a tiger sign, and this is a jaw, the four legs, and the tail. Super abstract, but you can sort of see a predator image over there. And tiger represent the yin, the powerful, the male, the dominance, all that, right? The force. The bottom means negation of that. We negate by place this mirror image of things. So when we have a pair of things, sometimes we do it side by side the same. But here, there is a sort of orientation. And these two looks the opposite. And actually, this is the human figure, right? And when you have another human figure, and this human figure actually, this side, the bendy part is our back supposed to be. So you have something back to back. That means you're not facing each other. You are turned around back to each other. That doesn't actually mean you're fighting against the enemy. It actually means you're not communicating. You're shutting down toward each other. You're basically not on friendly terms at the moment. So this back-to-back image in Chinese actually means you negate. You're not in agreement. You're not seeing eye to eye. Okay, so to speak. So this negation sitting on top of the ground, I guess, is negating that yin power. And so the whole thing becomes a negate of that, whatever the tiger represents. And that's emptiness. Why we have the heart symbol on the left side. And so this is something like a holding your thoughts. And this holding is made of the closing sign. So we have this wrap collar, neck opening. As you can see, some Oriental, East Asian, Japan, or Japan, Korean, China, they have this, historical costumes. A lot of times it's this structure in the neck opening. And then the top, you can either view it as a hat or the backside of the clothing. So the whole thing, this part and this part means clothing. So we are somewhere in between the clothing. And this is the eyeball. And this like a 5 strokes. Somebody say it means your eyeball are looking out at the world through all directions. Maybe. So the whole image is we can almost regard that as eyeball represent our consciousness or our vision. And then it's wrapped in between clothing. So this clothing around you is the type of holding we're talking about. Chinese has another character. We distinguish the hold between you with your hand hold something. So you're holding something smaller than you. That's one kind of character versus English. Hold and hold probably don't differentiate, but Chinese have two characters. 握 means your whole hand holding something versus this is more like a 裹, like you're wrapped inside that clothing. So something is bigger than human because we, the language creators and users view the world from our own personal first person perspective, right? And we as a yardstick, if something bigger than us wrap us in, that's this 裹 sense. And if we wrap something else smaller than us, that's 握. Anyways, so here this 裹, this wrapping ourselves in next to the heart, that means you wrap your heart around something, or your heart is wrapped by something. In any case, there is some close contact with your heart, meaning your emotional mental state with something. So you're still processing something. So you're holding that emptiness as if like it's comparing A to B, right? This B is the valley. And valley with both like and valley actually have the mouth symbol here. And here the three finger hand symbol, first person perspective from bottom right of the screen, kind of like that. And with two trident looking up, sun pointing plant symbol. So I'm interpreting this like this. Plant is our food source. That's as a hunter-gatherer society, I would imagine the gatherer is kind of as long as you move to a place where the vegetation in that land is enough to support you, it's not that difficult versus the hunter. If you can get the animal, kill something live running around, that's based on luck or skill versus gather is easier. So eating first starts with this plant-based food source, and then the mouse is the eater. So then in between is the hand. So in ancient times, as a hunter-gatherer society, the gatherer's responsibility is to pick the right plant to eat, because not everything, right? So that's discerning thing, and have this connecting, this picking with the hand from the plant to the mouth. And eventually that becomes like. And we can imagine why that's like, because the knowledge base, the gatherer has to support that you need to recognize the look of certain plant. And then you have to compare with what's edible versus not to your knowledge base. And in that sense, this comparison becomes our like, eventually becomes anything A comparing to B. Okay, and the valley, this mouth symbol with splashes of water, which is trickling down of water through the mountains, right? And they all the way to the mouth of the mountain, which is like an open space, the valley. Okay, so empty, hold your mind regarded as empty as the valley. Okay, that's a Chinese way to say be humble. And here, this small figure in nature, and kind of a waterfall with a valley, I think is a good visual representation of how this character can visually present to me as a Chinese language user of how it feels. You feel small, like you don't feel you have much, and you're in front of nature, right? You feel the emptiness or smallness of you. And by doing so, you facing in nature way bigger, way spacious than you, then we recalibrate, have the sense of, nothing happening to us really that big deal, because we're relatively so small, and also, short term on planet Earth. That's 虚怀若谷. Thank you for your time. See you another day.